Hello and welcome to another edition of AEW Dynamite on the Wrestle Debate, on a show that featured Kip Sabian v Dustin Rhodes, and if Dustin Rhodes lose, he would retire. Sammy Guevara v Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy v Jimmy Havoc, and much more. Enough talking, let's get straight into it. And the show opened with Cody in a Batcave looking control room, talking about all the wrestlers who have matches tonight, and then questioning his place among them. He said that critics of AEW will continue to move the goalposts, but he's not worried about that. Good promo, even mentioned his brother and possibly his last ever match tonight, so I enjoyed this. Good start to Dynamite, typical Cody promo, but still very good, so I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. First match was Darby Allin taking on Sammy Guevara to move into the TNT Championship tournament. Darby Allin won when he pinned Guevara with the Last Supper. Another pretty decent match. Good match start the show, with considering it's been the first match, so it's starting the show. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Good work, lads. Next, Matt Hardy cut a promo on Chris Jericho from the Hardy compound. He started in Broken Damascus persona and then became regular Matt Hardy and cut a normal promo. Like the contrast, never going to say a bad word against Matt Hardy, especially Broken Matt Hardy. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed this, and Chris Jericho is the perfect man for Broken Matt Hardy to face. Next match was Kenny Omega defeating Alan Angels in what was a more competitive match than I thought. Thought it'd be pretty much a squash match, but it actually went on for quite a decent time. And Kenny Omega had to hit 2 V-triggers to put away Alan Angels. Once again, good to see Kenny Omega getting a win, but it's not really pointing him in dominant light, because if you're a fan who didn't know anything about him before he came to AEW, you're not going to think he's too strong and too much of a megastar when he really is. So you should push him. I know he's a tag team champions, but that even feels a bit drab at the moment. So I can't give this more than a 6 out of 10. Next, we got a couple of video packages. First of all, Scorpio Sky had a video package about his history and how he came close to leaving wrestling after a back injury before joining the SEU. And I'm not going to grade that. And then we moved on to Cody listening to Dustin Rhodes' voicemail about how he'll retire if he doesn't beat Kip Sabian. This was brilliant. Storytelling, the emotion, Cody played it brilliantly. So I'm going to have to give this a 7 out of 10. Go back and watch this. This is storytelling of the top draw. 7 out of 10. Next up, we had Orange Cassidy v Jimmy Havoc, in which was definitely one of the matches of the night. Orange Cassidy defeated Jimmy Havoc after Penelope Ford attempted to interfere, but Chuck Taylor tried to pull her off the apron. She went down into a split instead, and Kip Sabian jumped on Chuck and Trent. In the chaos, Cassidy managed to pin Havoc. Havoc and Kip Sabian attacked Cassidy after the match, but the best friends made the save. This is brilliant. All the backstage, all the shenanigans around the ring, and it was a pretty decent match as well, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next, MJF appeared in front of his house and said why he hasn't been wrestling on AEW. He acted like he was going to cry and then announced he's been suffering from a bad hangnail. The camera backed up to reveal his arm in a sling with a Burberry bandage around his little finger. I don't know if this is a work or not, but it was actually a very good promo, and I did quite enjoy it, so I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So that was a squash match where Wardlow defeated Lee Johnston after Wardlow pinned Johnston quickly after an aeroplane spin. Nothing really to say about this. 6 out of 10, as all squash matches tend to be, as long as there's not too many, which thankfully there wasn't too many on this show. Next up, we got a whole bunch of segments with the Dark Order and the Exalted One, Brody Lee. First of all, an ex-football player was seen applying online to be in the Dark Order. Then the video cut to his interview with Mr. Brody Lee. Brody gave him a mask and welcomed him to the Dark Order. And then Brody Lee fought Justin Law, and Brody Lee pinned Justin Law with a lariat. Easy for me to say. After the match, he got in Marco Stunt's face. overall, pretty decent segment. Good to see the Dark Order and the Exalted One being built up again, so 6.5 out of 10. Next up, we got a couple of segments. In a backstage interviews, the best friends challenge Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc to a tag team match next week, I presume. And then in a new edition of the Bubbly Bunch, Sammy Guevara is feeling down about the Inner Circle's recent losses, but the rest of the group encouraged him to be positive. Jericho suggested that he have a dance to cheer up. Santana suggested that film flam, and Jericho said that whoever did the best job would get a bottle of hand sanitizer as a prize. They all danced. Jericho was mad that Sammy clearly won the contest, calling him a show-off, throwing the hand sanitizer at the screen of his phone. I mean, this is brilliant. More madness from the Dark Order, and I will grade this segment. I'll grade it a 7. Main event time. Dustin Rhodes and Kip Sabian had a video package about their match before it started, and then we got into the match, and Dustin Rhodes did win, defeating Kip Sabian to move on into the TNT Championship tournament and save his career. Rhodes pinned Sabian after a code red after Sabian was distracted by Penelope Ford's fight with Brandy Rhodes. Really enjoyed this. The storytelling added a different element to the match, and I thought it was thoroughly worthy of the main event slot. And obviously I'm glad Dustin wins and his career can continue a bit longer. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. And AEW overall gets a 6.7 out of 10. I'm sorry I've broken the rules again. Hands up, I'll admit it. I was torn between a 6.5 out of 7, so it's easy just to go for a 6.75. Really good show this week after a couple of weeks that have been not bad, but not as brilliant as we're used to. But I really enjoyed it. The backstage segments here, and there were some very good matches as well. Everything you want from a good wrestling show. You can keep this up, lads. We'd appreciate it. That's all for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Description to Twitter in the link below, where you can see wrestling news at the end of every day. And then our other YouTube channels will be coming up on a black screen in a couple of seconds' time. Once I've said bye, they should be there. 3, 2, 1, now.